here. I cover a lot of protests for those who are coming to see for the first time, and not normally this violent. In fact, anything but. I didn't expect things to go this way. I'm okay. I'm otherwise uninjured. I've got some cuts. I'm getting up with some bruises on my side. I'm otherwise okay, but I didn't expect things to go the way they did. In hindsight, maybe I should have, especially looking at what happened to, as I understand, happened to the left-wing protesters. Hands burning from pepper spray, phones being smashed, but yeah, I'm otherwise okay. Slightly deterred in what I'm doing. Slightly deterred. I wonder why I do what I do. I've had lenses broken. I've had 360 cameras ripped off my stick over me and glued them back together, but haven't had my phone taken from me and smashed before my eyes, which is exactly what happened tonight. And that was sad because phones are quite personal to people. And for me, all of my two-factor authentications and what have you got tied up. So how did I end up on my ass? Let's talk you through it. Look, this crowd, it's known better. Coming right out to public order and riot, who are trying to keep things organized and together. I see Jackson, I think it was. This gentleman here in front of me, he was the person who kicked things off and said, "Hey, if God is love, huh? Nice shirt." Gives me a good push backwards. Mates in front of him push too. Pass over tipped, as they say. Yep. That's me looking around, realizing I'm in a world of trouble. You see this gentleman just over here on the right? I've seen him before. We've met before at several different protests. And if it wasn't for him, I would have ended up injured. Maybe seriously. First thing he gets to do when he comes over to me, starts pushing people back, starts holding them back. And after this, he starts copying it himself. This was a tough moment. Not long after that, took the phone out of the holder, run off with it, destroy it. And two other men run in from behind, try and push the others back. One of them I've seen before at other Christian Lives Matters protests. And the man in front of me, I understand his name is Christian, is what people tell me, Christian, starts copying it around the head. They start bashing him. One guy even kicks, and they're all 3, 4, 5 or more are just there trying to hold people back. That's really brave. It's really brave. Christian, for example, he's seen me in other protests and he hasn't quite worked out what to make of me. You know, he's been like, "Oh, this guy running around with a selfie stick, what's he up to, blah, blah, blah." There, even then when he was still probably a little bit, didn't quite know what I was at, was yelling to people, "He's a reporter, you idiots, he's a reporter, get back, get back." Doesn't matter when you're under that. Were it not for those guys who I've seen from Christian Lives Matter protests, I would have come home in a much worse shape. I've come home pretty much uninjured, and I'm glad about that. As I say, guys, this isn't my first rodeo. I've faced, not compared to that, and that's my most violent incident, but I've faced other violence before. This one a little bit more targeted, shall we say. Alash Prasad, Dashi Prasad of the queer president of UTS, I think it was, regardless. Ended up convicted, but it was only Section 10. He walked away. I think hopefully he regretted it and changed his angle that I'm just trying to cover protests. Cripes, 2.5 years ago now. just this weekend. You have people who kind of come up to you, and this was a little bit scary, where you lean away from the people, and here's the other problem where the police don't know what to make of this, and like, look, we don't care. Get back over there with those guys who are harassing you. Okay, they push you back into them, and guess what? They end up pushing you back. He pushes me back. They push me into, and it was just a pinata. That was a slightly scary moment. But again, compared to, no, I don't want that. Compared to this, nothing quite. That was my most terrifying moment yet. I didn't leave when it was done. I went back to the scene of this about 30 minutes later, and I spent probably an hour talking to people. No phone. Didn't bring a second phone with me either, talking about what happened. Everyone was apologetic. And I told them, it's fantastic you're apologetic. You are warm, welcoming, kind, but something you must learn about protests is that we do not identify between you who do not want this to happen and those who are making this happen. Unless you are right next to them, holding them back, as this brave man did, as Christian did. I believe it to be Christian. It doesn't matter. We saw it just this weekend in Melbourne. If you have literal Nazis on steps, they're 20 meters away from us. No one cares. They're with you. Unless you are actively condemning, actively holding them back, unless you are walking up to them, literally holding their arms down and say, you will not salute on our protest, we see you as linked. Moira Deming is facing the reality of that right now. And here, Christian changed the reality of this protest by, this was one big mob of thugs, to, well, actually, there's a few different people here. And I saw that 2, 3, 4, 5 different people rang up to try and protect me and say, this is not us. Unless you are actively doing that, it doesn't matter if, I'm standing 20 meters away from what's happening over there. It's nothing to do with me. You're seen as the one protest. And thus, this turned into, as it will be reported, and as it did end up to be reported, as a bunch of protesters swarming a church. He ended up on Channel 9. Great. We'll come to April a little bit later. I don't know about throwing watermarks on top of mine, but you did crop out my watermark. Okay, all right. Last time that you used my footage, Channel 9, well, the second to last time you used my footage, you cropped out my watermark and called it an exclusive. Don't know about that. Nasty stuff. I quite liked that phone. I'd had that for a while. I'd had to replace the screen. Because remember, guys, I'll bring up when I had to replace the screen. Discoveries, attack. Let me come to the middle of this, which is when I come to need to replace the phone. Chipping for a coffee, guys. I've broken a fair bit of stuff along the way, and this has got me deterred a little bit. I'm going to be giving the Day of the Unborn Child this weekend a miss. I'm just going to give it a miss. I got to take stock of where I'm at, have a think about things. Because honestly, if you look at my subscribe stuff, it's become kind of a joke that like this, because I'm unable to find a right-wing niche, a left-wing niche, until I find a vertical base of people who are willing to pay for, where I go up to people and say, is that really true? Why do you believe that? And I challenge people. Nobody wants to pay for stuff that they don't agree with. Like the reason why people pay for the advertisers that advertise on Channel 10 in the project is because they like what they have to say. I said this at this weekend's protest. And the reason why I'm asking you to try and chip in for a new phone is because, thank you, but most importantly, I actually say, the reason I'm asking you to chip in, I didn't have this until tonight. And I should have said this up front. I said in the first 10 minutes, I'll mention it later, and I'll put up a photo of it. They lent me a new phone. The guys out the front of the church lent me a new phone. Came straight up to me, gave me a new inbox phone, and said, here you go. I'll say that again for those who missed it, a $1,000 phone, new. I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to use it until I get another one and then give it back to him. But I want to go over a bit more of the response, which I expected, honestly, these social progressives to laugh and say, Chris, that's what you get. And honestly, I should have known better, and I know better in hindsight. I'll know better in hindsight than to go charging through here. Lessons learned. Western Sydney is angry, guys. Western Sydney is angry about this, and this is the reality of how they feel about it. This is how they feel about it. As I didn't go dressed in all black. I was clearly someone who was from, looked like they were from the inner city. I was white as I was day, and they are angry. And in a group, they don't see me as an individual. They only see me as part of a group. Are you with us or not? But I want to come back to the response of this was because I was surprised that a lot of social progressives, sleeping giants, saying, "Sorry, this happened. This should be dancing on my virtual." Thank you. Yeah. Honestly, I did expect that when I got home, I'd have a lot of Chris, you reap what you sow, blah, 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 blah. Hang out with fascists, you get fascist. And that's the other thing. Calling what happened tonight fascism, the term has lost all of its damn meaning. Violence was used tonight against someone who seemed to have a certain political view. Yeah, that tends towards fascism. But these days, fascism seems to be asking people stochastic terrorism. It's just lost its. I want to say even what more? 161. Hardly the enemy of people. Alt Media Watch. What? Oh, naming me? You can't name me. I'm the anti-vax fascist live stream terrible platforming terrible. You get there. You go to that. Well, Sam one time in a live stream when we didn't see eye to eye, we had a chat, and hopefully he saw that I'm not there to stitch him up. 4 days later, he was back to calling me a Nazi though, and true Nazi. And there you go. Alt Media Watch, Channel 9 as well. So hopefully you can see that my job is just to try and cover protests. And what would have happened after this? I would have loved to continue at the church and show that everyone who was at the church just 50 meters away, all that was left of that intersection were the most hardcore, violent, thuggish individuals who just loved to punch on. What was left of the church were lovely people who were sharing food, making sure I was okay, trying to rinse my face because we got covered in pepper spray. Wasn't the only one who got covered in pepper spray either. Hands still burning from pepper spray because I ended up with scuffs on my knuckles. So all of the aloe vera. So all of the cut skin still, it still burns. It's still burning. And when you get back in the shower, when you get back and you're washing your face, what does it mean? You're up at 2 a.m. with me, trying to understand what happened at a newsworthy, politically violent incident, what we are trying to interpret it. I'm okay. I'm going to take stock. I'm going to skip a couple of protests, have a think about where I'm at, beg for some money because why not? It's the in thing to do. And see if I can raise enough for a new phone. I'll take stock. I'll have a think. Why do I do it? Because I think it matters. Was I silly to run in there like I did? Yes. Are we going to now justify violence for people who run into groups of people? I don't know. Western Sydney is very different. And heck, I'm not the only one who was a little bit silly tonight, if I can say, because we've had April over here who took her protest to Western Sydney and got a similar response that I did. Maybe that means you're on the same side. Although if I say that this is the first time I've seen April here she is again. And if she's concerned about violence at protests, it's a transgender diner outside CPAC with April's protesters. Look, I'm just saying that April. Look, I'd love to interview her, and more importantly, Dana, the person who's here at the receiving end of April's protest, would speak with you if her safety should be ensured. But as I've shown, people are one group isn't particularly interested in dialogue. Maybe that will change after this. I hope it will, but maybe they should change it and talk to someone else. Maybe it's not me. Reach out and recognize that dialogue may prevent this, or we can just punch on. Woohoo. Maybe it will deter me. It will for a bit. I'll take some time. Okay, why weren't the police moving in here? Why didn't these gents jump in? I'm not sure if you noticed, but the police were outnumbered 5 to 1, 10 to 1. Their main priority, rather than looking at this white guy in a shirt running up, they were worried about I believe, the social left progressives who had to be grouped together, and as I understand it, loaded onto buses to get them out, which is probably a sensible move. Their job there was to try and protect them and get them out. So if you then pursue this, which is kicked off in 6 seconds, I go from 53 seconds in to on my ass at 58 seconds. To move a group of police who are trying to maintain a cordon in 6 seconds, implausible, impossible. Let's say, I think there was Jackson over there. Let's say, or Rose, if he runs forward to try and save me, he is completely isolated and alone. Okay, some of the public going, right, come in. It was about 15 seconds after this that pepper spray was being deployed, and they just sprayed it high and it rained down on us. Oh boy, at that moment I was scared. I really was scared at that moment. It was only Christian here and 3 other guys. 3, maybe 4, and it was loud. And it was angry. And I copped a boot in my side. But I'll say something about the boot. I'm not sure if it's even going to bruise too much. It wasn't one meant for grievous injury. And the fact that I'm walking away uninjured, as much as it says something about Christian, it says something about the guys there, that they weren't there to maim. There was a limit to the violence of it. And I think that says something more about Christian, that he was able to do that. He's been so suspicious of me until today. Hopefully he's less suspicious of me now. I don't know. What were they doing? Police trying to maintain order and discipline. Trying to maintain a line. If you're wondering why I'm so late, statement of witness. Something you have to do. Oh, yeah. Richards was the gentleman there. Polite enough. Polite enough fella. Shout out to Senior Constable or Constable Furls. He was lovely. And Jackson is. Oh, look what I'm doing. Look at it. I'm rubbing my eyes with my pepper spray. Oh no. Where's my aloe? Oh dear. Shout out to Constable Furls for being so polite and kind and taking a statement. I've had some really difficult statements before, generally at Day Street Police Station. So doing in Western Sydney was all right. Also, Constable Jackson as well, taking the time to check on me as well. Yeah, and the inspector there, was it Fergus, O'Reilly, or Richardson? Very much suspicious of what was happening there. I think they're just trying to. What they worry about is the spread effect of, if this happens once, then it creates a wide sense of disorder. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Buy me a coffee. Thank you for letting me know I'm okay. You subscribe to liberalism. Yo, then we get into the whole political left-right, and then we get to violence and things like that. Did they arrest the fellow that tried to push you? This happened so quickly, we wouldn't have known. Won't have known. Shilling for psycho right-wing nut jobs won't protect you from the violent derangement. True. If I shill for psycho left-wing nut jobs, will that protect me from their derangement? Ultimately, I'll just keep on asking people how they are. All right, it's 2:15. You're all late. I'm tired. I'm uninjured. I'm shaken. I'm going to give this next protest a miss. Buy me a coffee on your phone. I'd love it if you can. Thank you. You know what it's going towards, which is a phone. I'm not trying to fund a lawsuit. Well, maybe a suit of laws. Maybe I could get like a bunch of laws and turn it into a suit. How about that? I have to think about the political implications of this later on because this did blow up a little bit. April, if you want to chat, maybe we will in a little while. I know you want to call me a fascist, but whatever. Well, Media Watch, thank you for your concern, or at least naming me. 161, thank you for mentioning. Thank you. Ben, guys on which previously was seemed to be the opposite side of politics. Thanks for mentioning it. George, you deserve that. Yeah, good on you. Christian extremists. Yeah, look, they're upset. Call that extremist? It goes more extreme than that. Where's the thuggery? Yes. Yes, thuggery. But it can't be ignored that the group of people at that church were the kindest, call them the most Christian. They really were the most Christian people there, and that includes the gentleman Christian who stood over me. Without that, I'd be seriously injured. I'll go to bed. I'll feel better in the morning. Thanks for checking if I'm okay. I won't say see you next protest, but see you next time.